Now we're live. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our regular city council meeting this Tuesday, August 17th, or 7th, October 7th. This is going to be a long meeting. October 7th. Welcome everybody on our YouTube and also in person. We have a fairly small crowd, but very important people with us tonight. Thank you for being here. Let's get on with our agenda. At 5 o'clock, we did have a work session, and now we will roll into our regular council meeting with a roll call. Amy?
Mayor Allen?
Here.
Councilmember Christiansen?
Here.
Councilmember Session?
Here.
Councilmember Parkinson?
Here.
Councilmember West?
Here.
Councilmember Johnson?
Here.
Thank you all for being here tonight. 100% participation. Thank you. If you'll all rise and repeat the pledge with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for that pledge of allegiance, and again, welcome you all online and in person tonight. Welcome. Item number 5, consent items. 5.1, approval of our agenda tonight and our September 16 council meeting minutes. Any changes to our agenda? Any corrections on that, staff? Council, any corrections for Amy or changes to our minutes on September 16th? Seeing none. Anyone opposed to approving those? We'll approve those by general consent. Thank you very much. Let's move on to item number 6. Item number 6 is our citizen comment period. This is an opportunity to address the council. Please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes, and we welcome you to just come to the podium. All you have to do is state your name and you're off. So we have one tonight. Welcome.
Hello,
And your name, please?
Jennifer.
Okay.
I've been speaking to different neighbors. I live down the street in the condominiums, and I've been here 2 years. But we all have noticed an increase in speeding and reckless driving and vandalism. And I wanted a couple neighbors to come with, but the one lady was down at the temple all day with her family. So I wrote this. Can I give you a copy and read it too?
Please, could you tell us the condo? Because we have a lieutenant right here who's over our...
Well, I live in the Stonegate condominiums.
Okay.
I'll read it and then give you a copy.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
I wrote, concerns about the neighborhood and the street Ridgeline Drive. The speeding that goes on throughout the day and night. There have been nights while walking my dog, I saw vehicles fishtail around the corner of the T intersection of Ridgeline Drive at 5350, because I work at 3 in the morning, so I'm walking my dog at that time, and they just whip around that corner, and I'm like, flip. Oh. Other concerns are vandalism of properties. Throughout the past year, Wood Cove Apartments, their fence on both ends, the south and north, somebody keeps kicking it in. And I'm sure you guys have noticed sometimes when you're coming in, it's knocked out. And me and a few neighbors are like, who's doing this? It's all in the same area for this past year. It's like, what's going on? So that. And on September 13th, the neighbors directly across the street, I was walking my dog and I was like, what's that on the sidewalk? Somebody knocked out their mailbox. And so I took it to them. And then I was talking to one of my neighbors, and what day was that? On the 19th, he noticed, because he takes care of some of the grounds, minor ground stuff, somebody broke into the shed on the property and somehow threw one of the ladders into that open field that's back there. And that's barbed wire back there, so how they did that, I don't know. And August 25th, I was woke up. You know the difference between the sound of somebody knocking on your door and somebody on the window? Well, I was woke up and I could tell someone was on my window, glass sliding window, tapping, and I'm like, I'm not answering that. I was talking to the neighbor the next day, he brought it up to me. I want to know who keeps knocking on my windows. And I'm like, oh, you heard that too. So someone in the neighborhood is knocking on windows, not doors. So that, and it's basically just minor stuff like that, but it's accumulating to what's next. Are they going to try to knock on and break in? Are they going to start vandalizing vehicles? As for the speeding, I wrote down different suggestions for the neighborhood. More police presence if possible, and possibly a speed limit sign and crosswalk built at the Ridgeline Drive, 400 East, 5350, that T intersection. Because also you got the communities there, the rehab centers, they cross that road right there all the time, and I'm like, ooh, we're gonna get hit. So I'm thinking, I was reading it and talking to my neighbors, and they're like, that's a good idea. You got people jogging, crossing the road, a speed limit sign. Maybe, I know it costs money to do it, but in the future, a crosswalk. Some sort of crosswalk right there for people to slow down and give us a legal way to cross right there, especially with all the rehabilitation people. They cross right there with their walkers or their wheelchairs. So, but that's about it. I just think a little bit more police presence if possible, and that might help a bit. And that's it.
Okay. Jennifer, thank you
And this,
for coming, and why don't you give that to the lieutenant right there? So, appreciate.
Do you have your contact information on that?
it just has my name.
Okay. For a follow-up, do you mind if we grab a phone number?
All right. Jennifer, thank you. Appreciate that. Quickly, Lieutenant, are you able to, can you drive through Stonegate? Can you drive through PUDs?
Yeah, like, can we patrol it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Come
we
down
can-
Ridgeline and go back.
Through the
Can you-
parking lot.
Through their parking lot? Are you
Yeah,
allowed
yeah,
to do
we
that?
can certainly patrol through, right? There's just certain things in parking lots that you can't enforce that you could on a roadway,
Okay.
right? That
Right,
distinction.
right.
And then trespass issues, vandalism issues. Certainly if the deputy witnesses something that obviously appears to be a
Sure.
crime, they can stop and take action. But if the condo owners or if the property managers or owners aren't reporting some of this stuff, then we will never know what's happening, right?
Okay.
So, appreciate it. And just be sure to tell your neighbors that if damage happens, if there's prowlers in the night, just call us when it's happening, right? So that we can get to the area as fast as we can.
What's that, it's usually early in the early hours or in the morning. I've tried to get a couple people to like, just call the police.
Yeah,
And open your door, call the police.
just call us.
Okay.
So some of that will help us out, but, yeah, I'll pass along the info so that they're doing some extra patrols over there in the night, and then having that presence at the intersection, watching for some of this reckless driving, so.
All right. Okay, thanks, Lieutenant.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate that. Speed limit signs are great. However, we have one right by Jeff's house, and sometimes it works, sometimes, well, it
Yeah.
works all the time.
Just after you pass the condos, there's one going west.
Right. But by the time they get a block down in front of your house, they're speeding.
They're moving pretty quickly, yeah.
So, yeah, we do everything we can. It's tough. So, thank you, Jennifer. Anybody else? Okay, no other citizen comments. Let's move down to item number 7, new business. Item 7.1, presentation, Utah League of Cities and Towns Annual Convention Recap. So, Tom,
Well,
would you like to start us off?
you know, I think probably the highlight of the event was the presentation that Mayor Allen was able to do to help councils have a better grasp on how to efficiently and effectively run a meeting. And that was actually asked by Utah League of Cities and Towns to help with the decorum and the way people interact with one another in council meetings. Sometimes that can be a little bit of a strain. How to keep the council moving along efficiently and effectively. Also, they asked for some help with the idea of using the Roberts rules. We all use them on a little bit different level, but to kind of enact that and have a way that we encourage for sure the decorum. We shared with them the back of each of our names tags. We only shows one, but as on the podium and as on the back of our name tags, or anyways, those things. Just kind of reminding that we have a good decorum, that there's no traffic on the high road, that you run the city professionally, not politically, and some of those details. So I appreciate the mayor accepting that call from Utah League of Cities and Towns to present. Feedback is it went really well. Had good dialogue at that meeting, questions and some answers that were helpful. I heard some murmuring like, "Oh, I wish that was the way it was in our city." No city names need to be mentioned at all, but it was Mayor Allen did a great job presenting that and putting together that opportunity to learn.
All right. Thanks, Tom. Yeah, that was a good one. That was well attended too.
It was.
Most of them were not that well attended, but that really was well attended. It was the first meeting of the conference, so everybody was still fresh. And it wasn't like Friday at 4 o'clock or Thursday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so.
That's a rough time slot.
We got good billing there, got a good time slot, but it went really well. But I just need to thank my council. I've always had good council members to work with, most of the time, but, they know what's expected in the meetings, and the meetings are useful and meaningful, and we get the job done, and we do it, so I just have to thank my council back years and years and years. They've all been really, really good, and some of those, the questions that were asked, you could tell that they had some rough times going on, so, but, keep at it. Everybody try real hard, and it's easy. There was one class that I really, really liked. It was a fraud prevention class. And maybe you can do some research for me, Tom. It was from, where? Local Governments Trust. And it was really simple. It was really quick. It was like 45 minutes, and it just went quick and simple. Cherie said something about she'd maybe like to get a hold of that and show that to our group, to our staff. It was simple, but it was just just the basics. Don't click on this email. Don't click on these type of emails. When somebody calls you, be real careful. And he gave examples of, cities getting ripped off. $53 million in Ohio. A lady over 12 years was, but then some cities losing, a couple $100,000 because they thought they were on the line with a contractor, and it wasn't really the contractor. It was contractor got frauded, and so it was just eye-opening. It wasn't really anything new, but it just opened your eyes, and it was just the simple stuff. So if you could maybe check with them down there and see if Cherie can get a hold of that.
Was it Jason?
Yeah, I think it was Jason. There was two gentlemen doing it, and I think Jason was one of them. But
The guy presenting was Michael, but I can double check with him.
oh yeah, we can look it up or whatever. But that was really good. That's really good. Somehow we can get a hold of that. They can do it for us, or we can get a hold of the presentation. That'd be really good. But that was my favorite right there. Went to a lot of others. Tom and I actually got a chance to talk to Republic Services, our garbage people, there's kind of an issue going on in the county, and we had a good chance to talk with the regional manager. So we took that opportunity. We missed a class, but it was an hour and a half well spent with Republic Services to get up to speed on some stuff that we're dealing with in the county on our garbage. So that really helped us there. So anybody else? Cheryl, I'm going to start with you. I know you had some great ideas. Or do we start with Mike?
Start with Mike.
Mike's got,
Because
Mike will
Mike-
summarize the
His
whole thing.
summarization of it was like amazing.
Mike, go ahead, but it's all on there. We don't want you to read it all.
I emailed you guys all about it. I learned about different ways that we can capture taxes that the county's already getting, but we're not, and so we gotta apply for it. That application's for 10 years. I did the data privacy, learned about grandma and its new version, as well as other privacy classes that we all should work on and the staff to do. And then went over how the housing is for Utah and the challenges that we're facing. And then talked with America 250, where next year's America's 250th anniversary. Throughout the city, or not the city, but the state, they're trying to get as many cities to be on board to join the celebration, and then to have Utah's biggest potluck the day after. So if we want to try and get involved in that, we can. And then if we want to send out a survey that the state has of seeing how people are actually recycling, throw that in a newsletter and maybe do our part to help with that information. That's what I've got.
Okay. Yeah, read those couple of, did you snap two of them? Three? Two?
Summary
Two
of all-
different
summary of
summaries?
everything,
I
yeah.
did 2 days worth of summaries.
2 days worth of summaries, yeah. Yeah, look over those. They're very, very good. So, Jeff, anything stood out to you?
Yeah, I think one thing about these conferences is we learn as a city things that we can do better, but we also learn a lot of things that we shouldn't do. And you talked about the one in the meeting, you know, that you were talking about running efficient meetings, and it's quite revealing that there are some other cities that really struggle, and we're fortunate that we get along here, that we can put our differences aside and do what's right for the citizens, and I think it's important that we maintain that decorum. I also went to a session that was, how do we interact as a municipality with other government agencies, in particular the county. And this was really focused on law enforcement. And they had 3 different sheriffs there from different counties. And they talked about the challenges that they have, rural, urban, and suburban, kind of the 3 there. And I'm thinking we have a great relationship with our sheriff and our sheriff's group. There are other counties that don't. And it was kind of revealing that there was a city in one county, and I won't specify it here, that he was actually moderating that session, and he had to apologize to the county sheriff that they've never met. He was the mayor of a city in that county, and they have their own police force, but yet he did not know or had not met the sheriff of the county. And we are obviously a municipality, and we have our challenges, but we live in a county, and we have to know what the county ordinances are, and what the state ordinances are. We all have to work together on it, and it was a good session hearing from the other counties and how they interact with the law enforcement in particular. Salt Lake County, I'll mention that because it's a big county. Do you know that in Salt Lake County there are multiple SWAT units? Do they really need multiple? Cities have their own. So where does the city need the county? They all need to work together. In Weber County, I think we do that well here. All the entities work well together, and not that we're perfect, but we've learned some things that we're doing pretty well. So that was a good session. And then I think Michael has summarized all the other sessions. It was really good. So the sessions are great, but also the opportunity to meet our peers in other cities and collaborate with them, our surrounding cities, or the other mayors, councils, and we can share ideas. You know, hey, we got a situation, what'd you do on this? And, oh, we had that 3 years ago, here's what we did, and here's how it worked out. So I think that is as valuable as the sessions themselves. So that's my summary.
Thanks, Jeff. Cheryl?
I had the opportunity of being there on Thursday and had some different takeaways on some of the things that were occurring. One is that Get Healthy Utah did a presentation and brought on many of the cities, the new cities that have received that qualification, and appreciate Councilmember Thomas that he's been instigating that going here. And then they ended up sitting at our table, the presenters did too, and so kind of visiting with them and getting some more excitement and some ideas looking at that direction, which is, I think it's going to be a good thing for our city. The other thing is that it was a great opportunity. Again, at our lunch table, we had South Ogden cities joined us, and so we were able to sit and talk with the mayor, their city manager, a council member there, about the things that we had worked with in the last month here with our roads and joining and trails and bike stuff and all that was going that way, and talked with them a little bit about what we had been discussing and the possibility of bringing those interested parties back together again and working with that aspect of it. So that was a really good happenstance that we were able to work with that way. The housing session that I attended was, again, it was quite interesting because it says mid-sized cities, I don't remember the exact term for it, but it was a caucus with these cities that were all kind of in our situation. And it was interesting to see that we really are not the only city that has built out, and how other cities are saying how they're trying to deal with the housing situation with the build-outs that they are dealing with. What was the name of the city that said that they had a lot that was $1 million? Cottonwood Heights. That they're so built out that the only properties that are left are like $1 million lots, and it's just incredible to think what's happening that way. And the discussion was good as the state took some good feedback from people that were there. Appreciated that Jeff mentioned some things about our city to them, so that they were able to take that feedback to the state and as they're preparing that housing document that's going forward. Also, it was at the end of the session, they bring in and elect new officers. And what a great opportunity it is to see that our leadership in the league is strong. It's represented by the people in the league through all different cities. A new president was elected there, and she's going to be dynamic. She's from Bountiful and works with the league all the time too. And so pretty great things that are happening with the league. And my great takeaway was Jenny Taylor spoke the first day, which I missed her presentation, but I've been able to visit with her before. The fact is that we have a city, we have a world, and our cities, our counties, our states are dealing with a great deal of sadness, of negative things that are happening. And as we looked around us, they pointed out, look at all of the people here who are serving. They're here by choice to serve their communities, to make them a better place. And it really warmed me to think that we do have many, many people in our state who are there and are working hard to make this a great place to live. And despite all of the challenges we have, we're all here, this council, the mayor, all of our staff, we are here to make this a better place to be. And I came away from that feeling somewhat uplifted with that concept.
Great. Thanks, Cheryl. Appreciate that. Yeah, it was very informational. Really enjoyed it this year. So. Anything else? Okay. Great. Thank you. Then let's move on to council communication with staff. Jill, anything?
Yes, I have a couple of things. So So I've noticed since, let's just call it Restaurant Row on Riverdale has been completed, traffic backed up turning into Washington Terrace on 300 is really, really difficult. Not only because there's more people turning to get into the restaurants, but because there's confusion, people that are turning right to get in onto 300, and then people turning in the left-hand lane trying to get over to the right-hand lane to get into the restaurants. It's pretty much of a snarl, and I'm wondering if there's a way that we can start a conversation with Riverdale about making a double turn lane onto 300. There's a double turn lane opposite going west on 300. I think that would be a really good thing to help manage the extra traffic and confusion that we have now with all of these businesses there. And then my second request is just, like, I know I didn't put my hat in the game moving forward, but as we're moving forward, we're going to be talking about parks. My hope is that as we keep moving forward talking about parks, that we look at play structures like we did at Little Rome, or at the new Romer Park, that have a variety of build and usage, so that we're not, as we're replacing old structures, let's look at funding things that are different and dynamic, that are up to date, and I know I keep harping on this, but let's keep trying to get shade there so that it makes a safer place for the kids and the parents to be able to enjoy, especially in those hot summer days. I know we've got Parks Committee, we had a good meeting about funding some of these parks moving forward, and it would be really great to see some variety of structures to meet just different levels of interest and abilities. So that's everything.
Okay. Thank you, Jill. Z, anything?
It's just, I think it came up in one of the social media, someone brought up, like, we have, as a city, we have so many programs for young ones in the summertime. Is there something we can do during the winter, or do we have anything? I don't know if we do. Is there something in the plan, or an indoor place for them to hang out? Because, you know, it's going to be snowing outside. So just a general question, like, do we have anything in the Parks Department? Are we thinking about something?
We don't have any structured, like after-school programs. Is that what you're talking about?
Or, you know, we have like the football, tag, they're like during summertime we have so many programs. Like, do we have anything during the winter time?
Actually, just basketball and volleyball.
Okay, and do we have any particular place, or do we still run it during the winter time?
Yeah.
Yeah, the season for that, in fact, basketball just started, so it goes over into the winter a little bit.
Okay.
And then, help me remember,
I
when
think
does
one, a
volleyball?
couple ages of basketball start now and go till January, and then the other couple ages start in January and go for a couple months, and they play. Maybe they'll be able to play at the new Roosevelt Elementary someday. That's kind of the plan. I mean, they've got bleachers down in there and everything, and but they've been playing at the South Weber Complex and right over here at South Junior High.
Okay.
And those are big programs. And then Tom said like volleyball
I think it's just beginning.
is just, you know, getting going, so. Yeah, that's right, TH Bill for basketball practice on Saturdays.
Do we have the schedule at the location in our website that I can look up and then communicate back to the?
Yeah, Carlos has that stuff updated on the recreation portion
Okay,
of the webpage.
okay, I'll look there. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Thank you, Z. Cheryl?
What is our status of 5350? Maybe you're going to hit that soon.
Yes, how about now?
Well, we can wait, it's
We'll
okay
wait
if
for
it's
your
in yours there. That would be okay. I just had a citizen contact me about that their driveway was completely blocked with, well, there's a big hole, and that their neighbor had received a knock on the door to let them know that that was happening, but she did not, and for couple of hours was unable to access in or out of her home, and was rather concerned. It did get taken care of by 6:30 that evening, and asked me if I would double check. Thank you, because I went to our website, and right in there it does say that if there are going to be interruptions with that they should be notified by this one, and so I'm glad it was stated there, but I'm concerned as to why perhaps this citizen was not contacted. I tried to suggest that perhaps they were unable to be reached because of being in their basement or in the bathroom or, whatever. But anyway, it's all taken care of. But just when you give us an update on that, that would be great. Do you want to wait
Sure.
till your staff?
Sure.
Time? Okay. The other is that I was also contacted by another citizen concerned with the car wash that's over here on Adams. And this citizen talked with me about the fact that they live in the condos that back up to the car wash and were disturbed by a lot of yelling and screaming and things that were happening in the property of that one. And she was visiting with her neighbor, and the neighbor said, well, that's only part of it. There are also issues with people there doing drug deals behind there. There are people that are engaging in private actions there. And I was able to visit with Lieutenant Ensley about this, and thank you very much for your receptiveness on this, and they were going to do a little bit of upping patrol with that. So I'm excited to see how quickly Lieutenant Ensley responded. That was wonderful. I don't know if they've come across anything with it at all, but hopefully we'll be able to help watch that. The car wash sits here, and there is quite an area behind it that is rather private, so that was a concern there. So let's see, and I also wanted to take just a minute to say thank you to all that did the emergency preparedness fair. It was really, really neat to see. Many of our citizens in our city came, and there were some really good presentations. The people that were there were very kind, very, let's see, it was, gosh, who was it that was over there putting out the fire? Cherie. Yeah, Cherie. She was over there putting out the fire with the hose. She was having a great time with that. And the kids were enjoying that part of it too. So, yeah, I thought it was attended well. I would like to have seen at least 3 times the number of people there that did attend. But those who did, I think, really benefited from it. So thanks those for all that were involved in that. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff. Jeff?
I'll just echo that, emergency preparedness. Let's do that again. Advertise it, again, and let's get more people out next time. It was great.
Michael?
I'm gonna go with the emergency preparedness. My kids loved going in the SWAT truck, the fire truck, and then the guys that had the giant vacuum and water declogger. My kids are still talking about all those things.
Great.
So, and I've heard a few others that they said they went and checked it out, and their kids had some of the same, but they were too timid to go into the sheriff truck.
That sheriff truck on its own is intimidating. Just think how it'd feel if they were pulling up to your front porch to have a chat.
They wouldn't tap on the window, would they? They would go right through the brick. Okay. Thank you, Michael. Appreciate that. A couple of things. Jill, you brought up a great point on Riverdale Road and Restaurant Row down there. I'll tell you, when they started that construction down there and they kind of redid the road a little bit, I had several talks with Mayor Norm Searle when he was the mayor. And I said, well, they're doing this project. Why don't you just widen the road? Well, if you're coming from Riverdale, coming down, and hit that first light at the bottom of the hill where the steakhouse is, just have them make one extra lane from there before all this is built out. One extra lane past the green light, all the way to there. And then if you're going to go on 300 West, you can jump in there and you can go all the way up. Never did I think there would be 10 restaurants there trying to turn in and out of that too, but it would have helped. So 10 years ago, I don't know how long ago that was. That was quite a while. And, I said, you got to do something. You got to do something while UDOT won't do this. UDOT road. So they didn't do anything back then when it would have been very easy to do. But I'll have a discussion with Mayor Mitchell down there and see if there's any, see if he's had any complaints from the restaurants or, you know, from their patrons that says it's hard to get in and out of here or something like that, but.
It's a state road though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a state road, but you never know. So I'll ask Mayor Mitchell about that. But
Thank you.
we tried years ago when it would have been very inexpensive, right? But no, I don't want to think ahead, so. And one thing, this is something that's come up in Weber County. We discussed it at length last night at our WACOG meeting. If you hear of anything about this, I'm just going to kind of give you the highlights here. The Weber County Transfer Station is experiencing, let's call it some real competition from the private sector. A venture capitalist group has built a landfill out in Promontory. And to help fill that landfill, that venture capitalist group has now come in and bought the new Ogden Transfer Station that just opened up in Weber County. That was owned by Robinson Waste. The venture capitalist company has purchased Robinson Waste. Also, they've purchased Econo Waste, another waste company that picks up garbage in the city. So this venture capitalist group has gone to the county and been very nice to them, but said, yeah, we're going to take over garbage in Weber County. And they could probably do it, but it would cost all the residents of Weber County, it would cost them dearly. It would be horrible if that happened. For example, some of the big companies that were dumping at Weber County, we charge them $50 a ton. Well, the big rich boy said, well, we'll charge you $47.50. And they said, okay, we'll take that. That would save a lot of money, so we'll take that. And a private company can do that. Now, Weber County Transfer Station can't just do that. They've got to go through their board, and they've got to go and, you know, to lower rates, so they can't just match rates. And this company will match whatever happens. So we got some crazy things going on. You think about it, when companies like this take over transfer stations and take over landfills, all they want is tonnage. That's all they want is tonnage, okay? They don't care about green waste drop-off. They don't care about selling wood chips to the public. They don't care about the approximately 3,000 to 4,000 trailers a week or pickup trucks that go from your neighbors, go down there to dump a fence or dump junk out of their yard or dump at the landfill. They don't do that. That costs too much money to run something like that. It's not cost effective. So usually these big groups that buy these places, they won't do anything like that. So that's the predicament we're in Weber County. We've got to get all cities on board to stay with Weber County, and you're going to pay a little bit more. But if you don't want 3,000 trailer loads of junk, and that's about, he says, almost 3,500 a week, we've all been there. We've all dumped an old fence, or we've all dumped, whatever. If you don't want that in Romer Park or on the side of the road on Washington Boulevard or, anywhere after dark, right, Lieutenant? After dark, they're going to dump it wherever they want to dump it. And so we're working on this real hard. But so if you hear anything, give me a call. I can give you more details, but that's kind of the high level look at that. So it's gonna cost the Weber Transfer Station a little bit more to stay open, but there's some options there.
Yeah.
And they will buy the Weber Transfer Station.
And this is actually nothing new. It's been going on around the country, and I'm surprised it took them this long.
Well, they said Utah is very unique. Utah governments like to run their own garbage.
Well, the problem is it's not only these companies, they've been buying up the gas companies, the electricity companies. If you want to look up, case in point is Minnesota, what they're so at first when they buy it, the whole reason private equity exists is that they invest so they can double or triple their profit. They have no soul.
Right.
And I'm going on record, they have no soul. So what they do is originally when they come in, they will undercut the existing business by $3 or $4 or $5.
Yep.
So everyone rushes to them, and the honest one, and the good one we've been using, they either buy them or run them out of business.
Yep.
And guess what happens 2 years later? Your charges go double or triple, and since they are the only player, guess what? You have no choice.
That's right.
So thank you for paying attention on this, Mayor, and let's
Yeah.
make sure we're not bringing, we're not bringing in sharks.
Yeah. I might bring you into our next subcommittee meeting, Z, and give them a little thought for the day. Because that's exactly.
No, that's what they do.
$47.50 today.
If you don't believe me, look up Minnesota Electric Company.
Yeah.
I was actually listening to a news report on this. It's Minnesota, and there's Wyoming. They're just starting, and that's not only the only threat. There's another one is data centers. They usually target slightly outside main city, usually a rural or like a poorer community where they have a weaker city council that can't challenge their army of lawyers. And the one they're setting up in Wyoming right now, the mega data center is going to use more electricity than all the homes in Wyoming combined. And they're going to have to share that electricity bill.
And water.
And water, thank you, because they have to keep everything cool. So I know it sounds like, oh, it's not happening here, but guess what? It wasn't happening in Wyoming 3 months ago. So we have to be very vigilant about this.
Well, just an example, in Arizona, somebody asked, one of the mayors asked yesterday, well, what about our surrounding states? What do they pay? Arizona is about approximately $100 a ton right now for garbage, and we're paying 50. I mean, we got a great deal, but we won't. So just a heads up, it's in the wind, and we're getting serious about it, and we've just got to have all cities on board. So by the talk of one vocal council member, sounds like our council's on board to keep the Weaver County Transfer Station, but
Could we get this on an agenda item for our next meeting so we can more openly and clearly discuss it, so that we have it as a discussion item and direction? Because I know that Weaver County is looking for direction and for a commitment, for a longer commitment that we currently have, which we have committed our waste stream to Weaver County. We would like to have in front of you an opportunity to discuss committing our waste stream to Weaver County for at least a decade, if not longer, so that they have a strong commitment, so that they can have the strength to be able to provide the service they provide. And I'm going to forbear on some of the thoughts that we have on that for the meeting, so it's appropriate. But
let's plan that for 2 weeks. We've got to act fast on this, so the county's trying to put together something, but I don't know if we're trying to have a subcommittee meeting before that to kind of give the cities some more information on it, but let's plan on 2 weeks.
But right now, let's get that on an agenda so that we can firmly say Washington Terrace City wants to commit and go this direction on the thing. Because of the challenges that you're going to have of people dumping wherever it ends up landing, and we want to be mindful of that.
It'll be a mess, yeah. So that's all I want to say on that, so thank you.
We can get that on the next agenda.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, that's all I have. Thank you. Item number 9, administrative reports. Tom?
Okay, what was it? Was it like 2150 south or something like that? Or 5350?
5250 or 5350?
5350.
There you go.
Of course, I knew I'd get it. Yeah, I actually met with Jake. I've been meeting with Jake on this pretty regularly. I met with a resident who called yesterday, and obviously there's some questions. You guys know my bumper sticker. they're awake during their own surgery with no anesthesia. It's a very uncomfortable environment. It has been it's been longer than we obviously wanted it to. There has been some challenges that they ran into underground with some pipes that yes, we know where a lot of our underground utilities are. Yes, we work with GIS to be able to map those, and there's still surprises. There were surprises on this that they've been dealing with. The contractor, from the reports that I've been receiving, is they've been working very diligently to notify and to be polite and to work with neighbors whenever possible. So we apologize for the inconvenience of the driveway and not being able to get out there. As they've been working through the project, I had a resident call yesterday that I spoke with who said, why are they digging out dirt and then just putting dirt right back in? What's with that? As they've been working on the project, they realized that part of the road on the subsurface is subpar. When we're on a project like this, if we find that we have other road surface conditions that we need to deal with, we deal with them during that project because we've already got it all tore up. So what they determined, what Jake and the contractor determined, and engineering, is that they needed to replace some of the road that was going to be left over. It's about 7 to 9 feet actually, that they had to tear out the sub base and then reset that sub base, because if you have an inappropriate sub base, it will allow the alligatoring, is what it's called, when it's all broken up on the surface, to continue indefinitely. So they took out the sub base, removed native soil, and replaced that with new sub. That gives the strength under the asphalt to be able to hold it up. Asphalt on itself has very little strength. It's all about the sub. And so they needed to go in, tear that out, and get that so that they can bring asphalt in. We were hopeful that this Wednesday they would be doing the asphalt. They're getting closer. If you drive that project, you can see they are getting closer on it, but we're looking at most likely next Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday, possibly Thursday, on getting, depending on weather, getting that asphalted in and cleaned up, and then it should wrap up that project. We apologize that it's been delayed. They've done an excellent job as far as quality, but yes, it is definitely taken too long. They have tried really diligently to contact residents. We apologize that we missed the resident that you were referring to, Cheryl. But we'll reiterate with them that particularly that when they're asphalting, there will be a considerable challenge on entering properties, because then they have to be able to get in, lay the asphalt, roll the asphalt, and have that set long enough till we can get cars over that without damaging the asphalt project. But the waterways are going well. They're pouring, there's a waterway, like the concrete waterway that's going to be poured. I believe it's on 200 that will be going in right away, and then they'll be patching up to that with asphalt and doing that with the rest of the repair. So we're very, very close, and I recognize that I have said this probably 3 times. So please forgive the messenger if you choose to. If you choose not to, I will stand corrected. Cheryl.
So is it a week, next week, that we anticipate they'll be
That's
laying
right.
the asphalt?
Mm-hmm. Yep, so next week, we're anticipating asphalt. And with that conversation, Jake encouraged them to see what they could do to move it along quicker. Because they recognize, Jake recognizes, we all recognize that this surgery has gone on a little too long, and we really need to get healed up. Other questions on 5350? Okay, e-bikes in the park. Got an email this week about some kids that were down in the park with not just riding through the park on the e-bikes, but down on the grass, riding e-bikes on the hill and things, and it damages the grass, damages the environment. It is a challenge, and they're not, they really should not be on the grass and in the park. We forwarded that information on to our lieutenant, and he's forwarded on to his crew as well to keep an eye out for that. This last week, there was some people during the rainstorm that used our signs that were discouraging them from doing cardboard sledding in the park. They used them for slides on the grass and used that for their sleds. So it didn't say don't ride signs down the grass. I get it. We should have been more clear.
Said don't ride cardboard down the
Yeah, it
side.
wasn't cardboard, it was a sign, and so we recognize that we made an error there. I think the general thing is don't mess up the grass. Mess up the grass is the kindest way that I can come up with saying what I,
Modern problem have modern solution.
you know,
Oh,
you
boy.
can't identify each and everything. Just be nice in the park. I don't know what they were using, but as far as what, I think there was some soap involved. I'm really not sure how it turned white, but we got that. Romer Park phase, we are really close. The bases for the shade structures for the picnic areas have been delivered, and our concrete guys will be able to get going on getting those set. When they're set, then we can finish the concrete slab in and around the bathroom. We're moving right along on that park. We've gone through and we've staked out. If you drive through there, you see a bunch of stakes with orange on them. Those are actually tree locations going up the slope. We're going back out tomorrow with some more stakes with blue paint or some other color, and we're going to be marking out the shrubs and grasses, just individual water-wise greenery that will go in there, and marking those out so that we can get those rolling as well. So things are moving along nicely there. We're anticipating a ribbon cutting for the spring, so we can get things going for that. The contractor down there has been excellent to work with. They're doing a great job. I think I had.
While you're looking for that, I did notice that half of the sidewalk has been poured on the south entrance.
Oh, good.
Yep, they've got half of that sidewalk already
Okay.
done, so they just need to finish the rest of it to connect.
Yep,
So
and
that's
do
looking
that
good.
to
That
retain the
entryway.
Yep, so they're moving along with that nicely. Things are moving along well with that change order for phase 3.3.2, I guess. So things are rolling along there quite well. Just as a reminder, save the date for our council retreat for November. If anybody has it before me, welcome to jump. Thank you. November 21st and 22nd, Friday and Saturday. We'll get back to you on details on the timing on that, but Friday and Saturday on that week there. Right this second, I don't think I have anything else. Anything that I'm missing, team? Okay.
No.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you, Tom. We'll look forward to that road construction wrapping up, so. Let's go to upcoming events. Our next city council meeting is October 21st. Planning Commission meeting on, nope. Probably not, tentative, don't write that in ink, just put it in pencil so you can erase it, October 30th. And also Columbus Day. City offices will be closed, right? On Monday. Not there in upcoming events, so I guess city offices are open and business as usual. No. Monday the 13th, Columbus Day, so no working that day. But we do go to November 11th, which is Veterans Day, so government offices will be closed anyway. And most government offices are closed anyway, so Here's our hallway. Right. And then city council meetings in November, November 4th and November 18th. And then tentative planning commission meeting the end of November, November 20th. So moving right along, we're getting close to Christmas. I just can't wait. We'll entertain a motion to adjourn, and then we'll go into our redevelopment agency meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, we'll adjourn our regular city council meeting. Let's go into a redevelopment agency meeting. We are now in that meeting. We welcome you to our redevelopment agency meeting, our RDA meeting. Our first item on tonight's agenda is a roll call. Amy?
Chair Allen,
Here?
Board Member Christiansen,
Here.
Board Member Zeshan,
Here?
Board Member Parkinson,
Here.
Vice Chair West,
Here?
Board Member Thomas.
Okay, thank you for your attendance, board members. Thank you very much. I'd like to just welcome everybody who's hanging with us tonight. Thank you. Consent items, approval of the agenda, and September 16, 2025 meeting minutes. Any corrections, changes to any of those items? Anybody opposed to that? Nobody opposed? Approve those by general consent. Item number 4 is our only item of business, new business. 4.1, discussion/direction, approve the use of the funds from the sale of 5580 South Adams Avenue property for parks capital improvements. Tom?
Okay, Mayor, Council, as you're all aware, one of the most challenging areas in our budget and in our, the work that we want to do and we need to do with capital improvements in parks is getting funds for that in the general fund and have those funds put together in a way that can actually maximize our points when we're applying for ramp funding. It just so happens that you approved the sale of the property at 5580 for $650,000. Those funds are currently in the RDA, in reserve right now, waiting for substantial completion of the building so that there is not a risk that we would be buying that property back. I think that risk, even at this point, with putting some foundations, is pretty low. Regardless, those funds are there that are actually not tax-generated funds, but received from a contribution of that property at the time that the library was developed, and there was a property exchange that the city received the lot that 5580 encompasses. So those are not actually funds that are from a tax base. They are from a donation. So in order to help us plan accordingly for parks, for matching grants, for the matching of grants, and to be able to use those funds for capital improvements. We don't want to use those for just everyday maintenance and those kinds of things, but to use those when we have the best, for lack of a better phrase, bang for the buck. But put together that in a way that you would authorize the future use of those. We won't be using them in the RDA, but because that's where they're housed, we would like direction from you that says, yeah, we want you to reserve those funds for park use. We don't want to use them for other general fund activities. And by doing so, you take the pressure off of the need for general fund tax base revenues going over there, but for a period of time, you'll have that $650 for matching of grants and for other projects, but capital projects. So that is kind of the longer or the more short of it, but any questions on that?
Yeah, but this fund, it's from the sale of that property, right?
That's right.
Okay. So this is just my view, is considering the fluctuating economic situation right now. I understand, I've been spending the last couple of years here, maintaining parks and improving parks has been challenging, but our parks department, you guys been working really hard to get those, matching funds, but considering the current circumstances, I don't know if I feel comfortable putting that entire amount just for I know we'll be using it for matching, so we can get further funds. I feel like right now, a better option would be just hold it or, move it to general fund where we can use it for, what's her name? Sherry uses, what's that? We use it in the market at TCIP, and then, monthly or yearly basis, we get a percentage from that. PTIF?
Yeah, the investment
Right,
fund.
right. PTIF, I think I would feel more comfortable putting the fund over there instead of just holding it strictly for parks improvement. Right now, I feel like that's a better move.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
Right now, we're, Little Romer Park, that playground is failing. In fact, it's outlasted its lifespan. And so that, actually, we're shutting down pieces of that because of the fact that the plastics are deteriorating. So that park will continue to implode on itself as far as the playground.
Okay.
Victory Park, we actually have, if the funding ever comes through, we have CDBG funding to help with that, which is nice. The park right here, Wright Park, thank you. Wright Park is failing, so those actually have parts that have been taken off and blocked off. So those have all had failed as well. So we're looking at those areas particularly on our failure structures so that we can continue to provide one-time funds for one-time projects, because this is not ongoing money.
Right.
We recognize it's only one-time money for a one-time project. So the mindset is to be able to have those funds available so that we can do those things. Otherwise, there will be a point where we have to just remove the playground and there will be no playground. So that is part of our challenge, because they are failing, and we take a risk by having a playground that is structurally failing.
Right. I understand, but essentially, I shouldn't say this in YouTube, but essentially we're a broke city. Unless we get like funding for particular projects, we can't move, especially the park stuff. And this is a one-time fund, and my gut tells like we should hold on to it for a rainy day.
How would you like to, if we were to do that, how would you like to address the parks that are
Right,
failing?
and now the thing is, I understand, for Victory Park, funding's been, I believe we're just waiting for the fund. Little Romer, if it's like at the end of its width, like we have to shut things down, then let's get, if we have the amount, like how much it's needed for that. I don't know, putting entire amount, I'm not saying I'm not willing to do anything, because if it's something's important we have to take care of right away, of course I'm open to that.
Okay.
But putting the entire amount for parks just doesn't feel right.
Okay. Cheryl?
Help me understand a little bit here. The RDA funds, I did not understand that they were available to be used in that way. I thought these were to be funds that were to be used for encouraging building and growth and business and things like that within our community. And so when I saw this, I was taken back. It was not something that I thought those funds would be able to be used for. How does that apply here? Because that was different than what I understood the RDA funds to be.
Good question. They're not RDA funds. They're actually funds that were raised that the city, your other hats, you received property donated at the time the library was constructed, and that property was then transferred to the RDA to be sold with the understanding and the agreement contractually that the RDA would then give those monies back to the general fund to the city. So they are funds, that's a great question. Those are funds that were generated from the sale of the 5580 property that the city owned. But in order for us to try to make sure that we had a developer that we could choose to work with to best leverage the value of that property and leverage what can go on in the RDA, council authorized the transfer of that ownership to the RDA. The RDA, with the specific rules that we have with the RDA, with a little more flexibility, we're able to come up with a developer and work with the developer to support that. Those funds that are generated by the taxes in the RDA funding for incentives and other things, those are different funds. These funds are just from the sale of the property and will, at a significant completion of the project, be moved to Washington Terrace City out of the RDA into the general fund and reserve.
And these will not be moved until the completion of that project then?
Until substantial completion.
Substantial completion. And that 650,000 then is the amount that was in agreement to be moved back to the general fund. And the recommendation here is that it is earmarked specifically into parks. Is
Yes.
that how I'm understanding this now then?
That's right.
Okay, so now Councilmember Z is correct in that Victory Park is kind of a done deal if we get the funding. If
That's
Washington
right.
DC
If the
gets,
funding comes through with CDBG.
gets their heads and we get our funding from CDBG. So that one's all taken care of. So you're talking 2 parks. So what we do, we put this into the general fund and earmark it for that. But in the meantime, it's not going to be spent in a year. It's going to be, and won't it be put into the PTIF?
It would be.
So it will be. You know, we're not going to spend it next year on all those parks. We're going to wait for grant opportunities and use it for that. But, you know, I don't know that we'll need the entire 650,000, you know, for those
Yeah, and
2
I
park
just don't
projects.
want to earmark it, like guarantee, like it will be used, like when we use it, it will be used for parks. We may or may not have other stuff that we need. And, you know, while we're sitting on it, we can look at how much money we need for the Little Romer, which you said, like, is really in need for, you know, some changes and upgrades.
Yep.
Let's look at the estimates. I'm not opposed 100%. I just don't want to earmark it like, oh, we are going to use it for parks. If needed, if, you know, it feels like, okay, this seems reasonable, sure, let's move it.
Yeah.
We'll vote it, you know, we'll say, okay, we'll move this fund for this, let's use for it. I just don't want to earmark it.
Sure.
So if
we
we did
have-
earmark it, as he said, for parks, and say, you know, we get kind of a delay in parks, and we have a road project that we have an opportunity to get a state grant on, but we need 200,000, could we, even though we earmark it tonight for that, we could go in 2 years and say, can we transfer 200,000 and help with this road project that we really need, and help matching funds for that?
I would imagine so. I mean, really, it comes down to the council deciding what they want to do with it. We have the rest of Romer Park Phase 4 that will be next year that we need to work on some matching funds for. So you've got a few things out there that are part of your 5-year plan that aren't necessarily outside of the plan that we've been talking about for the last few years. So you've got Romer Park Phase 4, got Little Romer Playground and Wright Park Playground, Victory Park if we get it through CDBG, and that would be no new park infrastructure necessarily as far as developing vacant park properties. And that's a pretty significant match. So what we're looking at is trying to use that as a planning tool. And we're, you know, I understand what you're saying, Z. I totally do. It's one of those areas that the mayor has said, I will never raise taxes for parks. We are so not a broke city. We're not a broke city. I would like to make that really clear, Because broke is, we don't have the capacity to pay our bills. We're structurally, for lack of a better word, inept. We don't do good planning. I would hate to say, have somebody take this out of the soundbite. We have excellent planning. We work very closely with the mayor and council to have a sustainable budget plan, to have sustainable budget vision and opportunities to make sure that we